Greetings, I'm the user known as Selfbuilt on Candle Power Forums, and this is going to be what I hope will be the first of a series of mini video reviews of some of the lights that I test and report on at Candle Power Forums. Today I'm going to talk about two new upcoming lights from Lumintop, the ED20 and P16X. Both of these are 2x CR123A primary camera battery type lights. They also take 2x RCR lithium ions and 1x 18650 lithium ion. To start with, I'll show you an overview of the ED20. This is what they consider an emergency or backup light. It's very basic in structure and build, very cylindrical. It has a removable rubber grip ring and a metal clip-on style clip that seems fairly sturdy for this type of clip. The body has, as you can probably tell, a fairly generous amount of knurling. It's not overly aggressive. I don't think it's going to shred your clothes or anything, but it does help with a good tactile feedback and a good grip. This particular sample has a neutral white XML emitter. It also comes in cool white. The reflector, as you can see, is a reasonable size for the head of the light, not very deep or large, with a textured or orange peel style reflector. The button cap, tail cap area is a regular sort of tail cap clicky, as you can see. There are, I don't know how you can see this, but there are square cut or trapezoidal threads, fully anodized for tail cap lockout. The light can easily take an 18650, as you see I have in there. You can see there's plenty of room inside the light. The light can tail stand on the tail cap. There's no trouble with that. On the head, you have sort of a standard circuit board, but you can see the evidence of the reverse polarity protection on the side. What this means is you'll be safe in putting a battery in backwards accidentally, but you're not going to be able to use anything but a button cell 18650. So the new higher capacity flat top cells won't work in this light. You're going to have to use the older style button top 18650s or regular CR123As or RCR type lights. Again, square cut threads on the head as well. All in all, a very nice compact kind of shape. Reminds me a bit of the old JetBeam Jet 3 ST, for those of you who knew that light. Pretty much, no fuss, no muss, very straightforward. In terms of an interface, again, very simple and straightforward. So I'll put the battery back in. So I'll put it on first mode, that's low. You can soft press or click the tail cap to advance to the next mode, which is medium, and then again for high. So you can see a fairly standard beam as you'd expect, not overly throwy, pretty well balanced for that sort of size reflector. Again, off. So you can just click it on, click to advance, if you do it fairly quickly. If you wait a little while, it goes back to the beginning, which was a low in this case, and you can either, again, soft press or click to advance. Lumintop tells me that the final version of this light will also have a memory mode, so you'll be able to retain the last setting used. Right now, if you don't use the light for a while, or more than a few seconds, it always comes back on. Well, I didn't leave it long enough there, but it'll come back on in low if you give it enough time. And you can see that it does. So I'm not sure what the timings will be on the memory mode of the final version, but again, it's a very simple, straightforward, basic light. No real surprises there. The other light is a little more advanced. This is the Lumintop P16X. You can see the size is a bit larger. It has a more traditional build for this sort of size light. Larger crenellated bezel on the head. You can see, actually there's a very slight crenellated bezel on this one too, but it's not very tactical or anything, just enough so you see if the light was on, if the light was upside down. Large smooth reflector, in this case cool white XML. I don't know if they plan to make a neutral white version. Overall build is, again, consistent with other lights of this size. You get a rubber grip ring, you get a different type of solid black metal clip, and of course the attachment point is hidden underneath the grip ring but still removable. The overall body grip is okay. You get these ridges as sort of on the heat sink, but the actual body just has these little fluted lines. It's not as grippy as the ED20, but with the other elements I think you'll find it's okay. Like the ED20, you'll see that there is square cut and a generous number of square cut threads, all anodized for tail cap lockout. The tail cap is what's the most interesting. This is not actually a clicky switch, despite how it looks. First thing, you can hear it rattles. Now that only happens when it's not connected. When you have a battery inside, and again it takes 18650 batteries, as well as the 2 camera or RCR batteries, the interface is a little bit different. As you first tighten the tail cap, you just screw it on, you see it comes on in low. Keep tightening further and it moves to high. Now the interesting part about this is it works very much like a Surefire L2 series tactical tail cap. If you have it on in high, you can leave it on. You turn it back to low, what actually happens now is if you press the button, it jumps back up to high. So I'll show you that again here. Press the button, goes back to high. If you loosen it a little bit further, now what happens, if you press the button lightly, you'll get low. Press it further, you'll get high. So both modes are there, question of how hard you press. Turn it back a little further, and all you'll get is low. No matter how hard you press the button, only low happens. Turn it back further, and the light just won't come on. So it's completely locked out. So it's an interesting sort of tactical type switch. It gives you a lot of options for control. You can always advance to whatever mode you like, so you can have various types of momentary highs or lows, and you can have it locked into both types of modes. So there's no actual clicky switch, it's a pressure switch. You can control it by a press, or you can control it by tightening it up against the threads. So it's an interesting design. For those of you who like a tactical light, it might sort of suit your purposes. To show you the rest of the build, you can see in the head there is a small spring in there, so you can use flat top cells on this light. It can pretty much take everything, and I've tried even the longer cells and everything fits just fine. So an interesting option if you want a more tactical light. In terms of overall output, the numbers from Lumintop aren't bad. I think the ED20 is a little bit brighter on high than what they claim at 420. I can also tell you in my testing the cool white version is about 10% brighter than this neutral white model. And you can see a little bit of light sleeps through underneath that bezel. The P16X is definitely brighter. On 18650 you don't really see it, they're about the same output. But on the 2x RCR or 2x camera battery, this one's about 15 to 20% brighter than this one, both with a cool white emitter. So they definitely drive this one a little bit harder. In terms of overall output and throw, I think both are very reasonable for the class. The ED20 is pretty much bang on typical for an XML based light. Throw is a little bit lower, of course, because of the smaller size head than typical. I think you'll find the P16X gives you a fairly typical amount of throw, given that kind of deeper reflector. And the output, although not as high as some of the more recent, very heavily driven XML-based 18650 lights, is brighter than the average sort of light of this class. So definitely a couple of new options from Lumintop you might be interested in checking out. And if you want to know more about the lights, you can go to my review site or to Candle Power Forums. So again, go to the Candle Power Forums website under the review section, look for the reviews by Selfbuilt, or you can also find backups of all my reviews at flashlightreviews.ca with links back to the original threads on Candle Power Forums and all the discussions that ensue. So I hope you found that useful, and I plan to be doing more of these in the future. Thanks for your time.